I still remember the day my life changed forever. The day I stumbled into a place where silence wasn't peace, but a curse. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how I discovered the town that shouldn't exist, a place called Silence. It began on a foggy October morning. I was driving back from my grandmother's house in the countryside, a place I often visited to escape the stress of city life. The road was long, empty, and the mist was so thick that it seemed to swallow everything ahead of me. My GPS had stopped working miles back, and I trusted the old road signs instead. That was my first mistake. I saw it suddenly, a wooden sign, barely visible through the mist. The letters were faded, but I could make them out. Welcome to Silence. I frowned. I had been down this route countless times before, yet I had never once seen a sign for a town called Silence. The name itself felt odd, unnatural, as though it didn't belong. But curiosity tugged at me. Maybe it was a shortcut. Maybe it was just a sleepy old village that time had forgotten. Against my better judgment, I turned the wheel and followed the cracked, winding road. The fog grew denser, curling against my windshield like ghostly fingers. I slowed the car to a crawl. The world outside felt muted. Not a single bird, not the rustling of trees, not even the wind. It was as though the air itself was holding its breath. After a few more minutes, the outline of houses appeared. Small, crooked homes with broken shutters and sagging roofs lined the street. They looked abandoned, yet strangely watched. I parked my car and stepped out. The silence was deafening. My own breathing seemed too loud, each footstep echoing as though the ground itself rejected sound. "Hello," I called out, my voice trembling. Nothing. And yet I wasn't alone. I could feel eyes on me, unseen, heavy, watching from behind darkened windows. My instincts screamed at me to leave, but something stronger, something I can't explain, kept me walking forward. At the center of the village stood a clock tower, old and cracked, its hands frozen at 3:33. Beneath it was a fountain, but no water flowed. Around the fountain, a series of stone benches formed a circle, as though the villagers once gathered there. I sat for a moment, trying to calm myself. That's when I saw her. A little girl. She stood at the far end of the square, pale as the mist, wearing a faded white dress that looked decades old. Her long dark hair fell over her face, but I could see her eyes. Wide, glassy, unblinking. Before I could speak, she raised her hand and pointed at me. Then, slowly, she pressed a finger to her lips. Silence. My heart raced. "Sweetheart, are you okay? Where are your parents?" I whispered, though whispering felt wrong. My words hung heavy in the still air. She tilted her head. And then, without moving her lips, I heard her voice inside my head. "You shouldn't be here." A chill ran down my spine. I stood quickly, stumbling back toward my car. But when I turned around, the road I had driven on was gone. In its place stood more crooked houses, stretching endlessly in both directions. The way out had vanished. Panic surged inside me. I ran back toward the car, fumbled with the door, and jumped inside. I twisted the key, nothing. The engine refused to start. The silence grew heavier, pressing against my ears like invisible hands. And then, I saw them. Shapes moving in the mist. Dozens of figures, emerging slowly from the shadows of the houses. Their faces were pale, hollow-eyed, mouths sewn shut with black thread. They shuffled toward me, soundless, their gazes locked on my car. I screamed and slammed the horn, but no sound came out. The horn didn't work. Nothing did. It was as if the town itself had swallowed every sound, every voice, every desperate cry. I was trapped. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My chest rose and fell rapidly, heart hammering like a drum inside a coffin. Outside, the silent villagers, if that's what they were, kept approaching, their sewn mouths stretching unnaturally as though they wanted to scream but couldn't. The girl was gone. I tried the car again, pumping the gas pedal. The key turned, but the silence devoured every click, every sound of ignition. It was like trying to start a car in a vacuum. That's when I saw movement in the rearview mirror. A face. Not outside. Inside. I gasped and spun around. For the briefest second, I swore I saw someone sitting in the back seat, A man, pale, with dark hollow eyes stitched shut by black thread. But when I blinked, the seat was empty. No, 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 I muttered. I opened the door and bolted, desperate to outrun whatever nightmare this was. My boots clattered against the cobblestone street, though even that sound felt muffled. The villagers followed slowly, never rushing, but their presence weighed on me heavier than chains. I turned a corner and found myself standing before an old church. The doors were half-rotted, hanging crookedly on rusted hinges. Above it, a faded cross leaned precariously, its wood splintered by time. The doors creaked open before I touched them. Inside, the church was dark except for dozens of candles flickering weakly on the altar. Their flames didn't crackle, didn't hiss. Even fire here had been muted. And there she was, the girl, standing in front of the altar, head bowed, her hair covering her face. I hesitated, then whispered, "What do you want from me?" Her voice filled my head again, cold and brittle.
To leave.
But leaving comes with a price. I swallowed hard. What price? She slowly lifted her head. For the first time, I saw her clearly. Her lips, too, were sewn shut. Yet her voice inside me grew louder. A voice must stay here. Always. Suddenly, the church doors slammed shut behind me. The candles flared violently, their flames elongating like screaming mouths. The silence pressed against my eardrums until I thought they'd burst. I stumbled back.
No.
I didn't choose this place. I don't belong here. The girl took a step closer. Her glassy eyes locked onto mine. None of us chose. Silence chose us. And then I understood. This wasn't just a forgotten village. It was a prison. A graveyard where the souls of the lost were trapped, their voices stolen, their cries buried in eternal quiet. The villagers appeared at the windows, their hollow eyes peering inside, stitched mouths twitching. They pressed their hands against the glass, dozens of them, smearing it with pale fingers. I screamed at the girl. "Tell me how to get out."